Welcome to Believe in the Entrepreneur, where the mission is to tell the story of the entrepreneur and how they overcame the obstacles in life and in business to get where they are today. Welcome to another episode of Believe in the Entrepreneur, and I'm super excited because I have Eduardo Chavez in the house, who's a asset protection specialist for Family First. And Eddie, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
For sure. So a little bit about Eddie. He started in the industry back in 2011 when he was just 18 years old, working at just Jack in the Box, and now he's pretty successful in this life insurance industry as well as retirement accounts. And for those people that don't know much about it, I mean, it's definitely a way to preserve your wealth. But Eddie, tell me a little bit about who you are for my listeners that don't know you. Let's bring it back. Tell me a little about who is Eduardo Chavez and why'd you even get into this industry?
Yeah. So I was born and raised here in Bakersfield. Both of my parents were born in Mexico. My mom was, till this day, she works at, in a grocery store. She worked in restaurants her whole life. My dad was, maintenance, construction. So definitely didn't have like a path set up for me in the financial services or, like asset protection industry. So it was something that I fell into when I was 18 by giving good service at Jack in the Box, like you read there. Yeah.
That's cool. So who like introduced you to this? I mean, at that time, I'm sure like 18 years old, like I just put myself at that age, like, man, I was still thinking about girls. I was thinking about ladies. I wasn't thinking about making money. So like, tell me about your mindset during that time. Like who introduced you to this?
Yeah. My mindset has definitely evolved. But when I first got introduced, I was just fresh out of high school. It was actually, one of my first jobs, doing insurance, through Jack in the Box. Somebody basically, told me to write my name on a receipt. They had a better opportunity, if I kept my options open. And till this day, that guy, Omar, is one of my, best friends, super cool guy. I'm always appreciative of, the guts that it took, to ask me to come in. Yeah. And then from then people thought we were best friends, but we met, that week.
Wow.
And,
So literally just a receipt like, hey,
yeah,
contact me for a better opportunity.
So basically there was something that was off the menu.
Okay.
That I told them, don't worry about it. I can still get it done for you,
Gotcha.
And they liked that. And then they offered me the opportunity. So I was like, all right, cool. That worked.
Yeah.
Had no idea. Actually, at first, the idea, the concept of life insurance was something that I was completely confused about.
Right.
I thought it was weird. I'm like, how do you even insure somebody's life?
Right.
But as I started learning about it more and more, I was like, wow, this is actually a really powerful tool. This can really come in handy the day a family really needs it.
Right. That's cool. And so when you started, at 18, did you just hit the floor running, started making some money, or was it like, a period of time? Did you go through struggles? Tell me about that story.
Yeah, it was about 6 years of struggle. It was, make money here and there, but when I first started, I was still living with my mom. So, she would cook, she would clean, she would do my laundry.
Yeah.
It wasn't really I had to go to work. It was more of like just, wishing that, everything was going to come true that I was plugging into, and the big dreams and stuff like that, having nice things. But I didn't have the work ethic, really no vision or really reason behind it.
Right.
I was just kind of the sheep that went along with the party,
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, if I go back, when you're living with your parents still, what incentive do you have to actually go out there and actually crush it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, your mom was still doing your laundry,
everything,
cooking for you. I mean, I could just put myself in that situation. Like, you're probably pursuing the dream, but what's going to make you, what, like you said, you don't have the work ethic.
Not even close. Yeah.
Right. So what made you have the work ethic? Like from then and now, what was kind of like what breakthrough did you have to go through?
It was a scary moment. I was going to have my daughter. So she's now 6. And before she was born, it was more of like, it'd be nice if I had these things, or if I went to work, or, what this picture would look like. But after she was there, it made everything so real. like now I know I have to, because if I don't, then she's going to lose out on so many opportunities in the future.
Right.
So that's what really got me to buckle down, start working and making progress in the industry and learning and being more intentional about what I do day to day, knowing that this is a process and it's going to take time, and, every day is a chance to get better. So it was more of having my family, come into my life that allowed me to turn that switch and really change up what I was doing.
For sure, man. Kids, man, it's a life changer. I mean, it's interesting because they say that, at least for me, this was true. Like a mom she becomes a mom like the day she gets pregnant, but a dad doesn't become a dad until they see their baby born. And for me, when I saw my first daughter born, it was like, damn, this is real. Like, I don't have to just take care of myself now. Like, I got to take care of my daughter and my wife. I was like, dude, I got 3 people's mouths to feed, not just one person's mouth to feed. So like, I literally remember when my daughter was born, we went to the hospital. It was like a 1.5-day delivery. And then as soon as we left the hospital, my wife's going to hate me for this, but as soon as we got to back to the house, I said, I got to get back to work. I literally only took a day, and it was during tax season, and I only had one employee at the time. So like, you could just imagine, like I was checking my emails like after my baby was born. I'm like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. And so like, I was enjoying the moment, but at the same time I was like stressed out. And it's evolved into a 7-figure accounting firm now, going into 8-figure accounting firm. But it, like you said, work ethic, I mean, having that why is so important, because that's going to push you to get to that next level. And it seems like that was the same thing for you.
Big time. Yeah. And I can relate to that. The day my daughter was born, I had an appointment later that evening, and I went and I closed it. So it was like a day that I look back on and I'm like, that's crazy. I did that,
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's an inspiration,
it's pretty
man.
Cool. Yeah.
And I think when you know your why, it just helps you get to that next level, right? Like, why is it that you're working, waking up early or staying late or, trying to close that deal? Is because your why, your reason. And for you, it was like, your baby being born. You're like, you know what? I got to provide support.
Right.
That's cool. So was it just work ethic that led you to this success now, or what else did you have to learn?
So even then, when my daughter was born, I did better. But when my son was born, he's 1.5. When my son was born, when I decided, like, after he's born, I have to put in my 2-week notice. I was at T-Mobile at the time. And that's it. Like, I'm not going back. And that's when my business completely took off. I was part-time for a full year in insurance. And then my whole last year completely full-time. I would just say my son's life is really blessed.
Nice.
He hasn't seen the struggle like my 6-year-old daughter has, or, me and my wife have. He's been having it good.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think that you probably, what it sounds like to me, it's like you went all in. You're like, you know what? My chips are on the line. It's like, dude, it's like, that 50 Cent line, get rich or die trying.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, dude, I'm going to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to get results, not just for my daughter, but now my son. And it's like, when you have that mentality, in other words, that Mamba mentality, like Kobe Bryant says, it's like, dude, I'm going to grind. I'm going to hustle no matter what. I'm going to make sure that my team wins, even if I die trying. Like, it literally, that's the kind of guts, the kind of courage that it takes to succeed. And a lot of people give up. They don't realize how much work it takes. And it's like, man, they think it, like, they see the lifestyle, right? Like, they see the nice cars, they see like the people successful. And then when they realize how much work it takes, they're like, nah, man, this is not for me. And it's like, dude, you got to have that mentality first, man. You got to have that Mamba mentality to say, you know what? I'm going to make it happen. No matter what. There's no going back, like you said.
Yeah. And it takes a certain mindset, and it's just a frame that you have to, build yourself towards. It's like, going from a bike to a Ferrari, you got to learn how to drive it. You turn it on different. The steering wheel's different. The seats are different. The speed's different. You just have to adjust you to the vehicle, and then the vehicle will take you where it needs to go.
Right. Now, something that my listeners don't know about you, Eddie, that you actually told me a little bit before the show is that you were actually in the industry for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then you decided to quit and you took 2 years off. And then that's when you went all in after that. So
Yeah.
tell me about those first 6 years. Like why you even, I know you said the work ethic wasn't there, but why did you quit after 6 years?
It was something that I never really fell in love with at that time. It was a lot of great inspiration for sure. I loved everything that I learned, and the vision that I saw for myself. It was just more of I didn't feel like I was getting the most out of that opportunity based on how my mindset was at that time. So when I actually moved to LA for a while, and then that's where I failed hard. And when I say I failed hard, it was like that moment where you go all in. And I was living in my car for a little while, trying to make it through. I was working at Verizon right before I went to LA. So I was able to save more money than I ever saved. I had like 20 grand.
Okay.
And went from that to zero in 2 years.
Damn.
So I went back with less than what I went over there with.
Right.
But again, all that built me. That's where I learned, patience, work ethic, what it looks like when you work, what it looks like when you don't. Because when you're self-employed, all sick time doesn't exist.
Right.
Getting a check if you don't go to work doesn't exist.
Right.
And there's still expenses. You still got to get places. You still got to go talk to people.
Right.
So it just feels like you're just getting punched over and over.
Right.
But when I was exploring different options, I guess you'd say.
Bring that mic up a little bit.
Okay.
Cool. Right there.
Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. Right towards the end of those 6 years, I was more of just fed up and I wanted to try something different. I had a friend that started doing like Forex, currency exchange trading, and I wanted to do that. And I realized I didn't have the discipline for that because if you go in on a trade and you over leverage it, then you just lose your account. So I blew a few accounts. I was like, man,
right.
What can I do? What can I do to make sure that I
So you had someone hit you up with Forex trading, and then what happened?
So I was, that was going to be my new thing, right? And I lost there too. So again, another L, in another industry, in another, avenue that I wanted to take to make money.
Right.
So I was working at a gym, then I worked for a school recruiting students. Then I worked at T-Mobile, and then that's what led me to my friend again, who is more of like a financial advisor role.
Right.
Made 13 grand. That really attracted me.
Okay.
Because I was making between 1,500 to 25 at T-Mobile with my commissions.
Right.
And when I came in, the whole first year, I did better than I ever have. I spent more in to keep my business going than I made the whole previous year at my job.
Right.
So it was a completely different mind shift, and I think that's what helped me get to the next level too.
Gotcha. So you when you said you literally took a step back, you went step back because you were living in your car. You went from like T-Mobile. It's like you bounced around until you finally said, I think I found my calling now.
Yeah. So
that's cool. So tell me, like, obviously your mindset changed, right?
Yeah.
But when your mindset changed, mindset is it's something that you have to feed every day. It's not something that it's like, okay, my mindset's changed, and it does help, but it's like, dude, you have to feed it. So tell me, like, what do you do to like feed your mind, like to not go back to where you were before?
Yeah, I have a very strict process that I have established for myself in the morning. I would look up, there's a lot of YouTube channels that really can help you if you decide to plug into them, and I seen a video about, millionaires and billionaires morning routines and what they did and how they got started. One thing that I established for myself was a morning routine where I woke up at 5:30 every single day without complaining about it. I just get up, my body gets up, and I read my goals for the day, my long-term goals, like my identity, who I am, Then I move into a gratitude journal. It's called 5 Minute Journal. If you look it up, it's 3 things you're grateful for.
I have it.
There you go. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Then it's what can you do to make your day better, and then your affirmation, right? So I go through that, and then a small devotional, and then I go on a run 6 days a week. you know?
Right.
And that's something I've been happy about, because I've been able to stay consistent with it.
Yeah.
And just lets me know, if you can win your first hour, if you can win your morning,
Yeah.
the breeze hits different when you open in the morning. You're just ready to go. You
Oh,
already
yeah.
know that it's like a switch, and you turn it on.
For sure.
So I can't get away from that routine. And I would attribute a lot of how my day goes to my morning.
For sure.
So
That's cool. And I think that, a lot of people don't know that, right? They start their morning the wrong way. And it's like, that's how the rest of your day is going to go.
mm-hmm.
It's like, you got to control your environment, right? You got to control your feelings, your thoughts.
Yeah.
And you do that by having those rituals in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. Like controlling, like, who am I, right? What are my goals for the day? What am I grateful for?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What are the things that I want to achieve? And then you go out for a run and also get your adrenaline pumping.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how did you learn that though? I mean, obviously that's something that you do now, but who kind of like made you aware of that?
Videos. YouTube University, they call it.
Nice.
It's, you just plug into enough of the right things. You kind of you learn how to see what they're seeing and what they're talking about.
Right.
So if you're in that frame of mind, inevitably that certain results are going to start popping up in your life. And that's kind of where I'm at now, just learning how to build on from my morning, and then using that discipline to, establish just systems for the way that I, manage myself and how I work, to eventually build, something that externally everybody can see, but it takes time. It's a really strong process, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's key, man, because I think that if you can conquer your morning, you're going to conquer your day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you conquer your day, you can conquer your week. And if you conquer your week, you'll conquer your year. And before you know, it's like, damn, I reached my goals. But it starts with that morning ritual.
Mm-hmm.
It starts from that day one, and then that leads to something like, when you look back, you're like, damn, how'd I do this? But then when you put the pieces together, it's like a puzzle. And, you put one piece together, you put another one, it's like, damn, this is a lot of work. But then when you're done with the puzzle, you see this masterpiece and you're like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I did that. But you're like, I did it one piece at a time. It's one morning at a time, one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 year at a time. And then before you know it, you have an empire. But it takes that mentality. So now I want to get into kind of like what you do, Eddie.
Yeah.
Tell me about, like, if someone like is interested, like, tell me about what it is a day in the life of Eddie as far as revenue generation.
So it's super simple. I pay for marketing, right? I pay for marketing, and these are lead companies who pay their money to bring you somebody who has filled out a request. Request usually would have like your first name, last name, your date of birth, your address, and your phone number.
Mm-hmm.
In sales, that right there, as long as they pick up, is enough for you to understand that if you can make a connection, anything that happens after that it can be your fault,
Right.
whether it's a yes or a no. I shifted my business from being in home, because all of last year, 2021, was a grind. It was at least 2 or 3 days out of the week was a 2-hour drive one way to Santa Barbara, 3.5-hour drive to Monterey County, what is it, Merced, Madera, all those areas what I would cover for the mortgage protection side of the business.
Right.
That's marketing that I, paper mill, marketing that I pay for. So when they return it,
Yeah.
calling, making sure I establish, purpose of them requesting the information for the coverage.
Right.
Then I go through what, possible options they may have based on their age and health. So, yeah.
That's cool. So you're basically partnering with a marketing agency that's, doing the marketing basically for you. You kind of contribute to that marketing through basically payment. And in exchange, they're giving you leads. And now it's your job to basically build relationships and close the deal.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit now about your sales process. You hit somebody up. What happens?
Yeah, we want to make sure that, we want to find out why they sent it in. So I would ask them, walk me through in your mind when you saw the form come in the mail, what was it that attracted you to send this back?
Right.
When you get them to clearly see the reason that they filled it out,
Right.
even if it wasn't a strong reason at that point in time, when you're able to have them, really picture clearly what it can possibly look like if they don't have this in place, that's when they basically give me the permission to say, that's why I hit you up. That's why you're talking to me right now.
Right.
Perfect. Then we just go into making sure that it's something that they're going to be able to get approved for. There's so many different types of plans depending on age, benefits, coverage amounts. There's some that require blood and urine exams. There's some that will just approve you based on your history. If it's not bad, your medical history.
Right. This is life insurance, right?
This would be, so there's, permanent coverage for seniors who are just looking to take care of their final expense, their burial cost. They just want to make sure they're not a burden to their kids, their grandkids, right?
Right.
Mortgage protection is a program that I work, and those are the mail leads that they fill out by hand and send back. That's somebody who just got a loan, either refinanced or got a new mortgage.
Right.
And they just want to make sure if, God forbid, they pass away or if they become ill of some sort and they can't make the payments, that policy is there to do that for them.
For sure.
And then you have, some people who, want to replace a high income, through those leads. I've found 2 clients that make over $20,000 a month, and these are, leads where most of them are maybe not struggling, but, middle income or never really heard of financial protection, and they need a little bit of info to even know what it's for, or how it works, or
right.
They've all heard of a situation where somebody's passed away.
Right.
But maybe they don't see what happens afterwards. And
right.
Usually without protection, it's a disaster.
Right.
So being able to educate them through that process and bringing them aware, to certain things like, actual stats.
Right.
The leading cause of death is cancer.
Right.
Then there's heart issues, and then there's accidents. So we want to prepare for all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's basically what I walk them through, and then just help them find something in their budget and something that they can get approved for, and send the applications off.
That's awesome. So I got 2 things from it. Number 1, you identify the problem. Yeah. You say, hey, what is it about that postcard or that mailer that sparked your interest? Identify the problem. Number 2, you educated your client on how you can help them, whether it's life insurance or, retirement account, whatever it is. And then you give them the data, stats on why this is important. And a lot of people, it's interesting, like, they put all these, when someone passes away in the family, right, they're putting these like GoFundMe pages. Yeah. Because they don't have the funds to pay for funeral expenses. They don't realize how expensive it is, not to even mention the loss of income from that, especially if it was like the head of the household. It's like, that's going to take a huge hit. Now imagine having debt that you have to pay monthly. The bills are not going to stop, right? The bills are not going to stop. So you have to be protected for that scenario, especially if you have daughter, kids, wife, spouse, whatever it is. It's like people are relying on you, and you have to be protected. And some people don't know that. Right. And that's cool that you're taking the time to educate, your clients on that. Yeah. So do you also do like recruiting as well, or is it just strictly just sales on these products?
I'm always open to helping somebody learn the business. It just has to be somebody who's who can really be serious about it. I'm not a babysitter by any means. I was telling you a little bit earlier, before recruiting was very heavy. And I understand that that's a part of the business that you can take advantage of. It's an amazing thing to build an agency and have a team and, do the team stuff. That's always great. But here in this business, you by yourself can clear 6 figures, even 7,
Nice.
So that's where I'm at right now. So if somebody wants to learn and somebody wants to know and take the time and understand, the process, yeah, absolutely. I would love to work with somebody that can, partner up and go run together,
For sure. And what you said is like, you're not going to babysit, right? So it's like,
I don't have the time for it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make it either.
Right.
So,
it's like, you better come like hungry and ready to have the work ethic. Like what you didn't have before. You need someone that's gonna have the work ethic and the hunger to like, dude, I want to be just like you, no matter what. That includes waking up at 5:30 in the morning.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, in order to get to your level, you got to be able to sacrifice your lifestyle to get to that level. And a lot of people don't know that. It's like they're like, oh yeah, I want to be like Eddie, right? If someone hits you up, and you're like, are you willing to wake up at 5:30 in the morning every day? And if they're not, it's like, all right, you're out.
It's the behind the scenes stuff, like you mentioned, that it looks pretty,
Right.
It really does. It does. But they don't see the day-to-day, mental battles that we have to win over and over and over. So if you're the kind of person who, will have a challenge and then, let it crush you,
Right.
probably not something you want to do full time. Maybe learn, and do your own research,
Right.
have some fun with it. Really look into what it could look like, what other avenues there is in insurance, and what you can, if there's niches that you can specialize in, or marketing ways that you can market yourself to just work a certain schedule if that's what you want.
Right.
But to come in full time and just expect, everything to fall in your lap and everything look great and the system built, it takes time to really get through that. So
For sure. And not just that, you're putting your money on the line. You're buying leads. You're spending money on marketing. That takes a whole nother mentality too.
it hurt. It hurt. When you go from a job, your goal is to stack money away.
Right.
When you are self-employed, and if you don't invest, there's no return.
Right.
You have to immediately let go of that $1,000, the $2,000, the $3,000.
Right.
And know and expect to work and make sure that it comes back with more friends.
For sure.
That it comes multiplied. Because if not, you're not just working to get by. That's not a business either.
Right. I think that's huge because a lot of people, in my opinion, they don't realize that they have to be willing to let their bank account go down for it to go up, right? They just see, damn, it's going down. But it's like they don't see what's on the other side. It's like, man, if you would have, again, you're going to have to put it, like, don't even spend the money if you're not going to have the work ethic, because then you are going to just waste your money.
Right.
But if you're going to grind, have the work ethic, the Mamba mentality, the get rich or die trying mentality,
Yeah.
dude, spend the money. It's going to turn into 4 or 5 times more.
Yeah.
It's like, and then as it keeps working, it's like, I'm sure you probably like, now I can spend a little bit more. I can keep reinvesting. And it's like, now whatever it is you're spending, like, let me double down because it's working. As long as you have the capacity, right? And that's where the team comes in. Because it's like, all right, I can't spend more because there's not enough hours in the day.
Right.
But then that's when you start building your team, like you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's coming for sure.
That's cool. So, I mean, you've done this success just on your own 100%. Like, is it just you, or do you have like a support system?
There's definitely a support system. There's a team structure. There's, always somebody you can go up to and ask for help or guidance, or to connect me with somebody who's really strong in that area. And then I have my brother-in-law happens to work with me. My best friend, Nico and Rudy, they both work with me. So it's more of like us 3 daily connecting on a group thread, and keeping each other updated, and things we need to know, things we need to be aware of, great ways to discover opportunities. This is all stuff that we every single day dedicate our working 8 to 8 schedule to make sure that we just maximize, so we don't have to think about what we should have been doing when we're with our family.
Right.
And just enjoy that family time and
For sure.
be present with them.
Right.
That was another thing I had to learn. So
That's hard. Yeah. Especially when you're self-employed, because it's like your mind's always working, and it's like, dude, right now I got to be in the moment and just spend time with the kids, cherish that moment. And it's hard because I struggle with that.
Yeah.
I still struggle with that. And I have to remind myself, hey, dude, turn off the phone, man. Because right now is the time, to spend with the family.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool that you basically have like a mastermind to hold you guys accountable and that helps with your mindset too. Cause it's like you feed off each other's energy, and then it's kind of like sounds like everybody's doing their own thing, but you guys are kind of like a mastermind where you're learning off each other, kind of getting some ideas on how to grow and stuff.
It's accountability,
right?
And that's how I started my morning routine. Actually, now that I think about it.
Gotcha.
It was, hey man, let's start studying. Let's start our day with some scripture. Let's get our spirits filled so we can go out there and help others.
Right.
Get a little taste of what it is.
Right.
And that's how it started. So
that's cool.
That was I think today was my 189th day in a row. I don't know if you have the Bible app, but it shows you like your streak.
Really?
189. So
nice.
Like, yes, that's over half a year.
That's amazing, man. That's
pretty cool to see that. I'm like, that's cool. I couldn't go a week, but Instagram. Instagram's like 10 hours a day.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, spirituality is important, man. Like, not everybody's religious, but even if you're not, dude, like, you still need to be spiritual one way or another, because you have to connect to that, whatever other being it is you believe. Like, I believe in God. I'm 100% believer in the Bible, but I understand not everybody is.
Yeah.
And it's just being able to, have that hope, that afterlife and that spirituality that's like, you know what, I'm doing this for a bigger cause.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's somebody watching over me that's going to take care of me. And I think that having that spirituality is important too, because when you're going through tough times, when the road is rocky,
Yeah.
it's like you have somebody to look up to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like you can just have that private moment with, if it's God or whoever it is. For me, it's God. And I just pray to him and say, hey, you know what? Thank you so much for everything you've blessed me with.
Yeah.
And that gratitude feeling, like those 3 gratitudes from that 5-minute journal, man, it's so key, man, because you have to remember, where you came from. And I think if you have that gratitude feeling, it's just like, you just have the right mindset to go out there and crush it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the, faith, right? What is faith? It's, working, believing that it's, that God's going to work out the situation and how it's supposed to play out. You're going to profit by, winning, or you're going to profit by knowledge. So either way,
right.
Let's get the day going,
For sure.
And that's how I feel about, that piece of my morning.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what you're excited about for the future, Eddie. Tell me about, like, where is Eddie going to be 2 years from now? Like, where do you see yourself?
It's been heavy on my mind to, own my space, be an expert in what I do in all forms, whether it's somebody who is on Social Security and is barely making it by, but does need that, or whether it's the business owner who has more money than they can count and they need that money to go to work for them or to be safe somewhere as part of their strategy, but, participate in some gains. It's just being that when you think insurance, first person in your mind is going to be Eddie.
Nice.
So I've been looking at your social media and I'm like, that's so cool. And when you had the marketing gentleman the other day,
right, I
was really, it got me thinking, even though I have been in this industry or in this business for 10 years, there's certain things I haven't thought about yet.
Right.
So doing that and getting myself out there more and, help educating through posts and, scenarios, case studies. I just want to make sure that people understand that this is something that I'm here to do for the next 10 years minimum.
Right.
And that's going to be just my day-to-day masterpiece that I'm working on.
I love it.
So just like I said, just completely owning my space in the areas of asset protection.
I think that's so key because a lot of people, especially with social media, Instagram, you get that shiny object syndrome. And you're like, oh, damn, Forex trading, oh, crypto, currency, right? Oh, real estate investments. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to get distracted. Yeah. And you don't realize that in order to grow, you have to stay in your lane. Mm-hmm. It's like, actually, you get more by doing less. It's like, dude, if you just focus on your industry and your niche, dude, you're going to be the expert. Like there'll be people traveling from other states to come see you. Yeah. Like I have clients now all across 50 states.
That's awesome.
And like they trust me and they're like, I'm not going to have any other CPA but Joel. Yeah. But it's because I've owned my space. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be willing. I wouldn't have clients in Florida or down south San Diego, up north in Sacramento. I mean, I have them all over 50 states, but it's because I've owned my space. Right. I don't get me wrong. When I see crypto and I see real estate investments, it seems intriguing.
Tempting.
It's definitely tempting. But you know what I've learned is that there's other people that own that space, and I'd rather just partner up with them. It's like, dude, I'll give you the money. Let's partner up. Let's come up with some kind of agreement where I get a piece of the pie, but you do your thing, bro. Exactly. You do your crypto thing. You do your real estate thing. Just give me a piece of the pie. Let's figure out an agreement. And then if you focus in your lane, it's like, dude, and then from those partnerships, you end up getting referrals too. And it's like, you just end up blowing up.
Yeah. You don't have to join everything that looks, like it's going to be a great opportunity. And that's just being an expert in your space keeps you from even thinking about that, Right. Having that long-term, just precise masterpiece, picture, that's what keeps you from, the devil calls it the idle time, right? That's where he creeps in and starts putting, some doubt and, what if you do this and what if you do that? And just distracts you from your ultimate plan. So
For sure. I actually had a realtor once to ask me, because I actually have my real estate license. And I, back in 2006 was when I got my license, because both my parents are in real estate. So when I graduated from high school, I'm like, dude, this is what I want to do. But this is back in 2006 was when there was a big real estate crash. And so it was terrible timing. And that's when I actually met a CPA that I was fortunate enough. And she's like, hey, in accounting, there's a stable, secure job. Decided to go that route and become an accountant. But I forgot where I was going with the story.
Focused.
Yeah, I think what it is that you need to be, just own your own space, man. Because if you do, it's like the sky's the limit for you. The sky's the limit. And I think it's very easy to get distracted, but you're just going to multiply your income if you can stay within your lane. And then it's like, dude, this is what I remember. Okay, a realtor asked me, she's like, hey, if you would have stayed in real estate, do you think you would have been more successful, right? Because the commission checks for a house are $8,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
And she asked me that, and I was like, no. And I said no because I said, there in every industry, there's someone who's a failure and there's someone who's super successful.
Yeah.
Same thing in accounting. There's people that are failures. There's people that are successful. Same thing in life insurance.
Right.
There's people that are failures and there's people that are successful. And it's like, there's a successful person in every industry, right? And some people are like, oh, there's no money in real estate. There's no money in life insurance. There's no money in accounting. It's like, dude, if you would have just owned your space, you would have made money. But you keep jumping from one ship to the other. It's kind of like, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's probably some things you can learn from that other side. But to be honest, the grass is green where you water it. The grass is green where you pay attention, where you nurture it, where you take care of it, where you put the seeds, where you put the fertilizer. That's where you're going to be like, damn, dude, this grass is green. But that's because you stayed focused.
Yeah.
And that's cool that you have that ahead of you and that you're going to own your space, man. I can definitely see that from you, just from your morning rituals, man. You're going to crush it in your industry.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I feel like it's already done. I'm just waiting for time to catch up to, to see it in fruition out here in the real world, right?
For sure, man. I think that once you start building your team too, man, I think the sky's the limit for you, because once you start to leverage yourself, you're going to see exponential growth. Because that's what I've done with myself is, I started just myself as a solo tax practitioner, didn't have any employees. That story I told you about earlier when I had to have my baby. I had one employee at the time. And now I have 14 employees, but it's interesting because most people see employees as like an expense, like, oh damn, they're costing me money. And what I realized is like, dude, they're actually making me money. Yeah, they are costing me a monthly or a biweekly payroll check, but it's like they freed up my time. Yeah, they freed up my time, and then I started making more money. Like I was wasting time on things that were not income producing activities. And it's like, dude, I could have like tripled my income. Like people, like for example, they don't want to hire an accountant for monthly accounting. Like, no, I can do it myself. Right. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. You want to save money. But I'm like, dude, you could have tripled your money. If you would have just let me done it or my accounting firm do it, you would have made way more money, but you're scared because you want to save money. And it's like, dude, if you would have just let that money go, it would have been, you would have put it to work, and now you could have tripled your income because you don't have to do that administrative stuff. You can just focus on what you're good at. And for you, it sounds like it's that, building relationships, picking up the phone, making the sale. Like don't stay in that same mentality where it's like, don't lose that distraction. Yeah. And if you can help build a team that can learn off of you, dude, just leverage that. Right. And I think if you do that, man, the sky's the limit for you.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to it. It's already been fun through struggling. So when I imagine, the next 3, 4, 5, 10 years, I'm just like, man, it really does get me up in the morning.
For sure, man.
Definitely. So
if somebody wants to hit up Eddie, I have your Instagram handle. It's Eduardo_Chavez_. What's the best way though if someone wants to hit you up? Do they hit you up on Instagram, or do you have anywhere else they can hit you up?
They can call me, text me direct.
Okay.
Number 661-380-8609. That's my direct cell. If you want to call me, if I don't answer, leave me a voice message, or you can text me. whether it's, Eddie, I heard the interview and, I'm open to learning about that space, or whether it's Eddie, like something happened to me tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen financially. There's always something that we can put together. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. I think it's a lot of my listeners have gotten a lot of value. Like if anyone is interested in life insurance, or if you're interested in being in this space and learning off Eddie and having him be a mentor, he's not going to babysit you. So make sure you got the mama mentality first, but then hit him up, and then he's gonna help you get to 6 figures, even 7 figures.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show, Eddie. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise, man. Thank you.